right, yes indeed it is. Once again, time for another episode of the Nikka Sports Show, everybody. I am your host, Kenny, and I am joined once again on this Friday by my lovely co-host. She's the one, she's the only, Nikka, everybody. Welcome to the show, Nikka.
Well, hello, beautiful people everywhere around this globe. I'm working on the intro here, but hello to our new and returning listeners. This is our brand new video podcast.
It is indeed. We are doing a video podcast now for all of our friends and family all over the baseball world and the sports world. This is new for us. This has been kind of an interesting process.
It has been. And a challenging process.
Yes, a little bit more so even than I thought. You know, and I knew that there was going to be kind of a little bit of a steep learning curve going into this, but, well, it's been a lot, to say the least. I have a lot more respect for everyone that does live television, everyone that does live podcasting, live events of all sorts. I have a new found respect for it. And, but that doesn't mean to say that I haven't been enjoying it, and it is a work in progress. All of our regular segments are kind of slowly being ported over to the podcast, slowly but surely. But we do have a great show for you guys today. It's been a busy baseball week, Nikka. Outside of the NFL draft and the NBA playoffs, baseball has turned the calendar into May. So the first month has concluded, and lots of interesting takeaways so far across all of baseball to get into. But we're going to start right away in Chicago, everybody, where, well, at least for now, they are singing what over there in Wrigleyville, Nikka?
Ooh.
They're singing, go, Cubs, go! Go, Cubs, go!
All right. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs win 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, everybody, and wow. Do you see the W flag right now?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Are they all flying the W flag, or some have?
Well, they should be, everybody. Boy, oh boy, the Cubs are just dominating in PNC Park in Pittsburgh since 2023. If you flip to the next slide, you can see that the Cubs are now 13-3 in the last, well, I guess 2.5 seasons at Pirates home stadium, PNC Park, one of my favorite stadiums in all of Major League Baseball. How can you not love the Golden Bridge in the background, you know?
I don't know. I never been there, so.
Yeah, but you've seen it on TV.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, just it's picturesque.
Sure.
I guess I meant it more from that standpoint, and yeah, a lot of stadiums have great views, of course. Oracle Park in San Francisco. But nothing hits quite like that PNC Park and the Clemente Bridge. And, you know, we also had a sad incident in the middle game of this series. I think it was Wednesday night when a fan fell over the railing in right field and landed on the field 21 feet below, which is Roberto Clemente's number. And that's why the fence is 21 feet high. He played right field for Pittsburgh for many years. So, yeah, this was our thoughts go out to this fan and his family and friends and anyone that was there that watched this happen. Just a horrible thing to witness. He was carted off the field. You can find video of it if you're into that sort of thing. We aren't going to play it here, but it did happen, and just wanted to mention that before we get on with the show.
Do you have an update?
The update is that he's in critical condition still, and that's the last I heard. So,
but it was due to intoxication.
This happened from, unfortunately, a little bit of too much alcohol, according to the people around. I did see a post on Reddit, actually, where someone that was sitting near this person kind of gave a play-by-play account of how much he had been drinking and what he had been doing the inning before. He had, like, stripped his shirt off and, like... Yeah, I mean, he was getting down, and unfortunately, things went too far. He was celebrating Andrew McCutchen hitting a double, and he jumped up too fast on the railing and just went over it, and
Oh, yeah.
and you can see how he falls awkwardly, and it's bad news.
Ugh. All right. Hopefully he recovers, but
Well, something
doesn't-
else that landed awkwardly in Pittsburgh was Paul Skenes' pitches yesterday afternoon in the series finale, the rubber match here, and the Cubs took it to Paul Skenes. They homered 3 times in 1 inning off of, I guess, the best pitcher in baseball, according to all the experts, Paul Skenes. So, Nikka, what do you make of that?
well, he's hittable. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think, I think the Cubs continue to be underestimated. I think Skenes just treated them as like business as usual. What's interesting about this, his last start was Friday night at LA Dodger Stadium, and the Pirates won that game 3-0. So he shuts out the mighty Dodgers at their place,
Oh,
and
well.
he can't do the Cubs at home.
Dodgers couldn't beat the Cubs.
Dodgers
That-
could not beat the Cubs, but again, the Cubs lost the game the other night because of bullpen and
Leaky
and,
bullpen. Okay.
I mean, they didn't light the world on fire with only 3 runs, but they should have. They were winning at one point 3-2 in that game, and they should have knocked it down. It's Pittsburgh, like I expect you to. If you're winning late against Pittsburgh, I expect you to win. Anyways, so. Where are we at in the slideshow presentation?
We have Paul Skenes still out, but do you want me to go to the next one?
Yeah, I want to go to the next one because those 3 homers were hit by Dansby Swanson, Kyle Tucker, and Seiya Suzuki in that order, everybody.
Was it the same inning?
It was all in the same inning. And so one thing to note about this is Paul Skenes had never given up more than 1 home run in a start, period. And the Cubs tattooed him for 3 home runs in 1 inning, everybody.
Well, there's always a trailblazer right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this speaks to just how talented of an offensive group we are seeing come together with the Cubs. And I do think Kyle Tucker is proving.
They're singing, go, Cubs, go! Go, Cubs, go!
Kyle Tucker is proving over and over to be worth the money, everybody. He needs to get paid. The Cubs need to pay him. We're working on a special segment called, Kyle Tucker getting paid, and it's going to have like the Mario Brothers coin sound effect every time he gets a hit. And
I don't even have a jingle for this, and you start talking about
I
it.
know. I'm sorry. I probably I gave the game away early, as they say.
That's okay.
But Kyle Tucker did hit one of those home runs, and with each swing of the bat, it seems like with him, he is getting more and more expensive for the Cubs to sign and lock up long term beyond this season, or they risk him becoming next year's Juan Soto, right? The one and done, the the childish Gambino, as they called him over there in the Bronx, Juan Soto. I don't want to see Kyle Tucker leave the Cubs now.
Well, why not? Who doesn't? Why wouldn't you want to let go, you golden goose?
It just seems like everything's come together and started clicking with this offense, including Seiya Suzuki, who now has 9 home runs.
Do you think because who is behind Kyle Tucker in the batting order or in front of him gives him a better chance to be the player he is?
When you look at Houston, it's interesting, right? They had Alex Bregman and Yordan Alvarez, and it's like, wow, he has so much protection in that lineup, right? And yet, Bregman's having a great start to the season. I don't think anyone would deny that. Yordan Alvarez, I feel like he's declining already, like since he came up, and I also feel like he's on a lonely island now in Houston because his buddies, Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker, are gone, and they haven't, Cam Smith hasn't replaced that production, and Isaac Paredes hasn't replaced that production. So I think he's in a tough situation now in Houston to be kind of judged because he doesn't have the big sluggers around him anymore.
That's fair.
But I do think Kyle Tucker has nice role players around him in Chicago, like Ian Happ and even Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki probably feels more comfortable because he is not relied upon to produce all of the offense, right?
Yeah.
And Kyle Tucker, and Ian Happ knows that Kyle Tucker is coming up behind him. The whole thing is working right now if you're a Cubs fan. And
It's
then,
almost like division of labor. certain players know their placement and they feel the weight of their world is off their shoulders, if you will. You know what I mean? Like the
I do.
game is not on their shoulders, but
Yeah, and then another guy, Michael Bush, has taken a step, and Pete Crow Armstrong also looks to have taken a step forward offensively. So I hope the
Yeah.
Cubs can keep this up. I want to keep it on Kyle Tucker for a second and look at his career numbers and just this is his 8th season. It's also Juan Soto's 8th season, which we'll get to in a second. But Kyle Tucker here is got really, really nice career numbers when you look at the average, the power, the on-base percentage, the everything. It's just and he has that almost career 900 OPS and 950 this year. Like, he seems to be coming into his own. He's going to be expensive, but in my opinion, he will be worth it. If we flip to Juan Soto really quick, Nikka, you can see here he is the only thing Juan Soto really does more than Kyle Tucker is walk. Because he has more hits. He has 6 more hits already than Juan Soto this year. And he also has 11 more at bats. And if you know anything about baseball statistics, walks don't count as at bats. If you walk 4 times in a game and that's it, at the end of the night, you're going to be 0 for 0 at the plate.
so you're not even going to count those 4 walks.
Correct. But they do give you 4 for 4 with on base. So your on base percentage skyrockets because you're like 1,000 that night.
Sure, but you walked.
But you walked. So, and everyone knows Juan Soto walks a lot. And so, yeah, I think that's just the biggest difference. Now, me personally, I want a guy swinging up there. I want a guy that's attacking, and Kyle Tucker is that. He is the stealthy assassin for a reason, everybody. And we're learning why now as Cub fans, I think. And
Well,
that's exciting.
He plays great defense, too. We've seen those catches. I don't know if you can put Juan Soto in the same category.
I don't know either. Where are we at in the slideshow?
Juan Soto.
Oh, okay. You want to click to the next one? I saw this from MLB Network, everybody. This is a little bit of a fun statistic. The Cubs had a 40-40 month as a team in April this year. They hit 42 home runs and stole 44 bases as a team. That's awesome. I love teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, everybody. That ties them with the Colorado Rockies as the only team to have a 40-40 month in the first 30 games of the season. That's pretty damn cool. The Rockies in 1997, by the way, hit 45 home runs and had 41 stolen bases in that cool, thin Coors Field air, everybody. So
That's nice.
Hey, congratulations to the Cubs.
Yeah, no kidding.
And sticking with it, the MLB Network also posted that the Cubs have scored a record, not a team record. They have scored 181 runs through their first 30 games. That is 3 less than they scored in 2016, which we all know was the year that the Cubs finally lifted that curse and got us that World Series title. Will history repeat itself this year, Nikka?
Is this a outlier? The rounding, the scores, the points for the same kind of a year that they had in 2016?
Yeah, I mean, every team is different. I think it's just fun if you're a Cubs fan, to know, oh, this team could be for real, like when it comes to scoring.
Sure.
I don't think they're
score.
for real on the pitching side yet. I really don't. And I think they have relied on their slugging to get them through. And while that can be a formula for success and even get you a ring, as we saw with the Dodgers last year, who were rolling out bullpen games in the playoffs, I want to remind everybody.
Okay.
You can slug your way to a championship. It is highly ill-advised, because if 2 of your bats go cold at the same time in the playoffs in October, when that winter air starts to come in, it could spell big trouble for your championship aspirations. So, and we're going to actually talk a little bit about this later with our other team, the San Diego Padres. But before we do, Nikka, look who Baseball Reference has favored to win the World Series right now.
Oh.
And it is your Chicago Cubs, everybody, with a 15.9% chance according to Baseball Reference, of winning the World Series in 2025. And this says, in the fine print, if you see it on the screen, it says, based on Baseball Reference's SRS. Now, what is SRS, everybody? Well, I happened to take a little note about this so I could explain it to you. SRS has two components, according to baseballreference.com, run differential and strength of schedule. So basically, they look at two specific things: how much you've outscored or gotten outscored in all your games collectively. And they also look at who you have left to play and their winning percentage right now. So when taking these two things into account, the Cubs are favored to win the World Series.
Wow.
A lot of this comes from the fact that we talked about this last time on our podcast, the Cubs schedule and what's happening with that right now. And we warned that this is not as easy of a schedule as it looks like. Now, the Cubs get a check mark because they passed phase one, which was to face Paul Skenes at home. And, the only thing that they could have done better really was not give up the Wednesday night games so that they could have just swept the Pirates like they should have, actually. But still, you can't be mad when teams take 2 out of 3, right? It's a long season. Go out there and win a series. That's their first job. So the Cubs passed this first test, but they got like 9 to 10 more weeks of tests coming up before the All-Star break. And it's not as easy as people think.
Well, we did a whole podcast about their easy schedule.
We did. So go check that out if you haven't heard that. But boy, oh boy, it's really fascinating to see the Cubs after April. And they had a great April last year. So I wonder where they ranked last year. All right. Well, that was what we had on deck for the Cubs this week. Congratulations on winning 2 out of 3 and getting back in the win column after losing the final 2 games to the Phillies last weekend, which was kind of leaving a sour taste in my mouth. Another team that was really on the sour side of things before this week started were our San Diego Padres, everybody. They had lost 4 in a row. Oh, once to the Tigers and then a sweep at home to the Devil Rays. Or I guess just the Rays now, but they put the devil back in it because, man, what was that?
What was that?
Well, this had me all kind of nervous before Tuesday night because the Giants were coming to town. Mm-hmm. The Giants, who are ahead of us in the standings at this point, and the first big divisional test. Bob Melvin's coming back. He's going to want to win. The Padres players are going to be fired up to kind of take it to him, at least the ones that were still here, like Xander and Manny and Fernando. So,
well, we definitely did worry about Xander because he's not on top of his game at the moment.
Yeah. The X-Man, he had a really nice start in the first 5 or 6 games of the season.
Okay.
And it's been kind of downhill since then. I feel like that first road trip to Wrigley, it's always tough to go from playing at home, I think, to then playing on the road. Sure. It's not an excuse, and especially when you go from San Diego to Chicago in the middle of April. You're going to get a little bit of a different weather pattern over there. Anyways, well, good news is Tuesday night when the Giants were welcome to town. This was a 2-game set in the middle of the week, and it was also Tony Gwynn celebration night, and the Padres were giving away a bobblehead of number 19 in a throwback uniform, those orange and yellow, or I should say orange and gold and brown, late 70s, early 80s retro Padres uniforms. And Nikka, I believe we have a little bit of a video here from the Padres social media channel, and showing a little bit of the festivities as they honored Mr. Padre. See, this is actually Tony Gwynn's grandchildren. You're going to see Tony Gwynn Jr. in this video. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know where we're at in the video.
It's showing the family.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, you can just let him
Tonight, as we honor Tony Gwynn on his bobblehead night, please welcome the 4 children of Tony Gwynn Jr. 17-year-old Michaela, 16-year-old Jordan, 14-year-old Layton, and 9-year-old Anthony Gwynn III.
Hey, it's a nice looking family there.
Good luck. Your grandpa's.
Kids, it's time to deliver
Do we get to
those
see them
pitches.
get the first pitch here? All 4 of them at once? That's a nice moment for them.
Definitely.
Definitely a nice moment.
Let's hear it again for the grandchildren of Mr. Padre himself, Tony Gwynn.
All right. Congratulations again to the family of Tony Gwynn. It's sad that he's no longer with us, of course, but it's nice to see his legacy living on in San Diego. Of course, his son is a play-by-play broadcaster for the San Diego Padres radio side of things. He does the color analyst portion of the job during the game. So great work, as always, and I love his insights and his stories, of course, growing up as the son of Mr. Padre. So really nice way to kick off this series, and I think the luck of Tony Gwynn was shining down on us because the Padres found their bats and won the series. They swept the Giants in this one. But before we get into that, let's hear from Mike Shildt on Tony Gwynn night.
You have a guy, 5 silver sluggers. Look around, man. By the way, how about Tony Gwynn night tonight? I look up at the stats with that guy. Oh, my gosh. Was he playing in a different league? It's like Nintendo with that guy.
You want to pause that really quick?
Sure.
Nice. Yeah. This cracked me up so much because basically Mike Shildt comes from an era where I think putting up video game numbers to him is Nintendo. and like I know Nintendo has the Switch 2 and everything right now, but let's face it, Mike Shildt is talking about old ass 1980s Nintendo basic, right? He's not ever played anything other than that. I'm convinced of it. I think by the time he was like in his teenage years, he was just talking and thinking about baseball every day. And back then, yeah, you didn't play Nintendo if you did that. So, no, I'm just joking around, but this is Mike Shildt's way of saying he was putting up video game numbers in his career. And I thought it was a fun little nugget from one of my favorite coaches out there. Yeah, what a great series this was for the Padres. And you know what else? It's nice to see Mike Shildt smiling and laughing again because he the last time we heard from him on Monday, everybody, we heard him in a sorrowful tone, basically accepting responsibility for losing 4 games in a row.
At least he did take responsibility.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was nice to win these 2 games against Melvin and, get back in the winning side of things, starting a new streak. Now we go to Pittsburgh, actually. And so the Padres will miss Skenes, and we'll see how they are able to do at PNC Park.
Your relief squad lost.
And I see some mistakes happening over there.
Yes, by mistake. My mistake.
That's okay. Nika's learning how to drive OBS, everybody. It's a
Thanks.
kind of a clunky program to get your hands around. So I'm giving her all the patience and time she needs to figure it out. And yeah.
It's a learning curve. That's all right. I'm getting it
Well,
going.
I know you really want to do it. You really want to push the buttons. You want to make the cartoon effects over there. And I'm surprised you're not playing one right now. I'm queuing you up.
Wow. How's this one for you?
It's a Fred Flintstone Friday, everybody. Yabba dabba doo. Hey, that's for the Roadrunner Award on Mondays, but it's for anything fast.
We saw one little roadrunner today with a broken leg or a footsie.
We did
It was
at the
sad.
park. He was not meeping around so quickly. He had a gimpy paw or whatever. What are bird feet called?
Bird feet?
Okay, well, one of his bird footsies was hurting.
Yeah, I wish we could have caught it, but it ran away.
It did. It got really close to us, though. It was
It
the
did.
closest a Roadrunner has ever gotten to us because they are quick.
They
Everybody.
are. And I think,
no kidding, right?
if that lady would have stopped, maybe he would have come closer because I thought maybe he wanted some help.
Yeah. And you have such a way with animals,
That's true.
like Fernando. We learned a little bit about Fernando this week, everybody.
He's a farmer.
It was Animal Day at Petco Park on Wednesday afternoon when the Padres won Game 2 of this short little series against the Giants. But there was a lot of animal talk going on. We saw a lot of players with their dogs and like doing little behind the scenes promos. But there was actually an interview with Fernando talking about how he had his farm animals back home in the Dominican Republic. He has cows and
Chickens.
Music to our ears as two people living the lifestyle that we live. It was just
He called himself a farmer. He is a farmer.
Fernando, I want to go learn the art of farming with you in the off season. I want to go milk the cows. I want to document it all. I want to make the off season El Nino farmer documentary.
Oh, okay. Make sure this gets to him.
It will.
The proper.
We're gonna get it out there. We're gonna send the word out, get the message out. I got some credits. I think you can look at my credits and be like, okay, we can work with you.
Oh, I thought you meant credits as a farmer.
Not yet, everybody.
That's coming.
Well, before we move on, we got to get to some Padres talk because MLB Now, Brian Kenny's Thinking Man show that's on in the middays on MLB Network. They had the Padres featured quite a bit on Wednesday morning, and I caught some of that. And this was actually interesting because this was Josh Stein, the assistant general manager to AJ Preller. And it was just interesting to hear someone new that I hadn't really heard a lot before talk about the Padres. And so let's take a listen first about the Padres bullpen construction. Nikka, whenever you're ready, we can cue up that clip.
All right.
Your relief squad lost Tanner Scott to the market. Maybe he was the best guy on the market. And yet,
You
this
pause
is
it really quick.
staggering.
I still want to remind the Cubs, you should have paid for Tanner Scott.
They should have.
Gosh, it makes me so mad. And you know, because the Cubs, man, they just have that leaky bullpen.
Don't have the sound for that one.
I know. We're going to get it. Plumbing's coming soon. All right, let's continue.
Put the ERAs up there. You guys have developed an elite pen, and you did it last year as well, where you look like you had the best pen in baseball. Josh, what is the organizational philosophy toward getting your resources toward the bullpen?
Really interesting here.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned Kevin Towers there in the lead-in because KT's a mentor of mine, and he would always talk about really there's no excuse regardless of what your payroll is for not being able to construct a good bullpen. And he was someone that I think really started
Can you pause it for a second? I just want to remind everyone who Kevin Towers is. He was a Major League Baseball executive for the San Diego Padres from 1995 to 2009, and for the Arizona Diamondbacks from 2010 to 2014. So he knows a lot about the NL West. All right, just wanted to mention who he was.
Bullpens here in San Diego. There's a statue over my shoulder of Trevor Hoffman, and really since then there's been a lineage of very strong closers and very strong bullpens. So it's been strong team units and groups, and I think it starts really like anything else with talent identification and being able to really look under really any rock in any unique area. I mean, Robert Suarez, he spent really his 20s in Japan before coming over here. Jason Adam bounced around to a number of organizations before finding his footing, in Tampa. Jeremiah Estrada was a waiver claim. Adrian Morejón kind of bounced.
Let's pause. I want to remind you again, Cubs. You let Jeremiah Estrada just leave and go to the Cubs.
Wow. When was this? 2 years
they,
ago?
It was two off seasons ago.
Okay.
So, and they just let him go.
That was before Greg Consul.
Before Craig Counsell, yes. They had given up on him as a prospect, and this is where coaching matters so much because and Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla does not get enough credit out there. He is a magician with pitchers a lot.
A wizard.
You see what he's already done with Nick Pivetta this year. Of course, we see what he's done with Michael King. As soon as he gets through to Dylan Cease and gets him out of his own head, I think, and I want to remind everyone, Dylan Cease got jinxed last year in Pittsburgh. He started a game, and then they did this whole 20 minutes after the game started, rain delay. So he got started, and then he had to not start, and it wound up getting delayed and enough where he couldn't resume. This was the first start after his no-hitter in Washington last year, and I feel, and Nikka feels, that this start screwed him out of his rhythm, and ever since then he hasn't been the same. So I'm hopeful, because he's due to pitch tonight for this first game in Pittsburgh. I am kind of optimistic that he is going to lift this jinx that he was put upon. All right, back to the Padres bullpen. I just want to remind everyone, Jeremiah Estrada was a Cub, and they let him go. And he would look really good in Cubby blue pinstripes right now, huh?
For damn sure. And he has the cutest puppies.
Oh, my gosh, he does. We saw them on Wednesday during that animal game at Petco Park.
Some little fluffy dog, and I think one of them is a hot dog.
A noodle? A doodle?
No, not a doodle. He's like a Shih Tzu. So it was
Okay.
cute. I don't know dogs, but it was cute. Anyway, go.
Up and down, had some injuries before kind of establishing himself as a young pitcher. So I think the talent identification, being willing to look in a lot of different areas, and then I think it's an environment here in San Diego. I think our pitching coaches, Ruben Niebla, Ben Fritz, Peter Somerville, Herbie Andrade, they create a very tight unit down there in that bullpen with a lot of preparation that goes into each and every game. And again, the goal is to give Mike Schilt as many options as we can late in the bullpen or late in the game, I should say, that can get lefties and righties out equally.
All right, you want to pause that?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
great.
think that was the end of the clip.
Yeah, no, I know. That was Josh Stein, the assistant general manager for the Padres, talking about the bullpen here. And the couple things that stand out here. One is that this is a tightly knit team, when it comes to being a bullpen. They view themselves as a team. They're not just individuals out there like going out there when they're called upon. They work together. They consider themselves a unit. I love this. I love all this. And I think it just makes managing the bullpen a lot easier, right, when they view themselves as a collective team. You mentioned, you heard him mention Adrian Morejon at the end after I came back in. I just wanted to briefly touch on him, and he is going to be our Tanner Scott this year. He is a project for Ruben Niebla, and by July 31st, it is Ruben Niebla's job to make Adrian Morejon this year's Tanner Scott for us. So good luck, Ruben, and good luck, Adrian.
You think that's possible?
I think everything on paper tells us that he has it in him to become that
second straight year
level of a setup man, I guess. That's what Tanner Scott was last year. We've seen him come in this year for the Dodgers in a setup and a closing role and kind of have struggles as well. Nevertheless, I still think Tanner Scott's worth all the money and more after watching him pitch in the postseason last year, and I really wish the Cubs would have gotten him. But I also think this points to how lucky we are in San Diego that we were able to get rid of him and still have one of the best bullpens in all of baseball right now.
That's very true.
So smart move, I guess, not to put money into that. I wanted the Padres to try and re-sign him and keep the band together, but in retrospect, it's probably a good thing that we did not. So,
okay.
All right. I got another clip here of Josh Stein because they flipped the coin a little bit and started talking about the Padres' offensive philosophy, and this is right up my wheelhouse to talk about.
Yeah, I'd say it is a philosophy. I mean, I think we talk a lot about Petco Park hitting and the style of offense that's going to play best. Not just in this ballpark, but across.
Really quick. I want to explain really quick what Petco Park hitting is, and that is the idea that you are a line drive hitting team and you're not trying to hit moonshot home runs. Petco Park, the ball does not carry well high in the air, so it's better to hit the ball lower to the ground, and you'll have better results. That's
okay.
I mean, as far as like when you hit the ball in the air and it doesn't go out and the ball kind of just dies, it's just going to hang up there and be an easy out for the outfielders a lot of times. So line drives are the way we go at Petco Park, and that's what he means by Petco Park hitting. So just wanted to clarify.
Not just in this ballpark, but across baseball, and certainly with the amount of strikeouts that have been building in Major League Baseball over the years, thinking about how to combat that. Arise is probably the biggest example, but
just having thoughts here. I remember in a couple years ago reading a statistic that there are almost twice as many strikeouts per game nowadays than there were in the 90s in baseball.
Oh, wow.
That's with both teams, but it went from an average of about like 9.5, 10 to like 19, 20 strikeouts a game out of the total 54 outs. What that has done is made the game boring. No one wants to watch that many strikeouts in a game unless, it's like an amazing pitching performance by one person maybe, and you get to see something historic or dominant in that way. But if it's just a regular game and guys are just coming in and out of the bullpen and striking everybody out, it tends to get boring for people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the Padres are such a great team to follow, is because they are, changing the game up again a little bit. They're relying less on analytics. They're relying on old school baseball, putting the ball in play, putting runners in motion, things like that. I like that. It's more action packed. It's more interesting to watch on a nightly basis. So yeah, you want to continue, Nikka?
Sure.
To combat that. Arise is probably the biggest example, but you got players like Machado, players like Bogarts. Tatis has cut his strikeout rate, so I do think it's really an overarching kind of team philosophy that we're buying into up and down.
Your guys have always had the last few years.
I did see Fernando's strikeouts ticking up again, and hopefully he's going to remain patient at the plate, because the more patient he can play, the better pitches he's going to see, and the better off the Padres are going to be. It's just that simple. All right, go ahead.
You guys have good at bats, player by player. I was just wondering, we see Luis Arise now, Stephen Kwan. I don't know if you've seen Jacob Wilson of the A's, doesn't strike out at all. Do you think that's becoming more in vogue, that in a 3 true outcomes environment, a little lineup diversity has an exponential effect?
All right, pause.
I do.
Before he answers really quick, the 3 true outcomes are strikeout, walk, or home run. Those are the most common outcomes of major league at bats these days. Is either the player will walk, either the player will strike out, or the player will hit a home run. And that's horrible, everybody. That's also slowing the game down. So it's like 33% of at bats end that way. And
that's a third.
It is. That's boring.
That is boring.
So that's what he means, though, when he talks about the 3 true outcomes. So Go ahead. I just wanted to explain that in case nobody knew what that meant.
Exponential effect.
I do. I mean, I'm a believer in that. I think that there's the goal is to avoid making outs. Obviously, power is gonna help play. On base percentage, but I think the ball in play, the batting average driven on base, and I think that's something that every team's kind of like looking for. And you mentioned players with very short swings, the ability to spoil pitches. Luis Arise, really has, I think, become the poster child for that, and I think it does. It rubs off on a lineup, and
Exactly.
There's certainly no one you'd want up in a big spot against the tough pitching that you're going to see more than Luis Arise.
Well, we got into all of this on our last podcast, Nikka.
We did.
We showed what the Padres were doing with Arise in the lineup and without him, and I'm just so happy. He did come back Tuesday, as we talked about, and he immediately provided a lift to the lineup. Like, even when he wasn't getting hits, everyone, I think, felt more comfortable in their natural roles. And so I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad the Padres have this philosophy. I just said the other way of playing baseball is kind of boring to me. But all that aside, it's about winning, right? It's about winning games. I just prefer this brand, and I think it's more the kind of brand of baseball you want to be playing in October to win games. You want to be stealing bases and doing hit and runs and things like that. That's what's going to put you over the edge. So might as well practice it now. Might as well be playing like the team you want to play in October. And it doesn't matter that it's only April. It matters that you can keep that intensity going the whole season.
Very true.
All right. Well, that was cool to hear from General Manager Josh Stein, Assistant General Manager Josh Stein, I should say, for the San Diego Padres. A new voice that I hadn't gotten to hear before. And I just, again, I love that a lot of what he talked about is team-oriented, cutting down on strikeouts, just playing good old-fashioned baseball. It is swinging back that way. Brian Kenny asked him, is it swinging back to this style of baseball? And I'll answer for you, Brian. Yes, it absolutely is swinging back to this style of baseball. So buckle up, analytics fellas. Your little on-base percentage war is coming to an end, and we are going to have hitters in Major League Baseball again.
I will bring up the Giants. Buster Posey.
Yes.
He made it very clear.
There's a viral clip of Jason Worth this week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was just happened to be hanging out with the assistant general manager for the Giants, and they were caught on a
Hot
TV
mic?
interview. No, they weren't even on a hot mic. They were on a TV interview, but Jason Worth chimed in and was like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he called like analytics walking like a weaker brand of baseball,
Yeah.
basically. And it's hard for me to disagree. I just know what I prefer for myself.
And what you see with your eyes and hear with your ears. That's how it
100%.
used to be played. But
All right. Well, that's cool to hear a little bit of the Padres insider information, you know, and they do. We've talked about Schilt ball. We've talked about this brand of baseball that they're playing, and it's nice to hear someone else describe it a little bit. So now it's time to turn our attentions to the Padres farm system, because one of their highly praised prospects, Leo DeVries, as he's known, has been tearing it up in high A ball, everybody. He plays for the Tin Caps. Man, I'm trying to remember what the city in Indiana they're from.
oh, okay.
What am I don't have my access to my phone because it is my streaming camera while we do this whole production. So my bad, Tin Caps.
That's okay.
I'm seeing if Fort Wayne. Sorry about that, Fort Wayne. I apologize. I know this. It was on the tip of my tongue, but that's why we have the internet, so we can just look it up and make sure we get things accurate over here. All right, back to the man of the hour, Leodalis DeVries. He is the player of the week for the Midwest League in high A baseball. Man, he just had a monster week. He hit for the cycle in one of those games, a 5-for-5 performance with 2 home runs, a triple, a double, and a single. So he had the super cycle, I think they call that.
Oh, okay. If not, they will now. There's a video, right, of that?
There is not. There's a slide. Do you have the next slide up?
Yep.
All right, so that's the player of the week. Minor League Baseball posted this on their Twitter. You can see all the players of the week for high A in their different leagues. But that's a cool honor. This guy's a switch hitting shortstop for the Padres, if you don't know a lot about him. He's also 18 years old. He's one of the youngest players in all of professional baseball, period. The fact that he is like leading or one of the top OPS leaders in all of high A baseball, that's really says something, because he's playing against 21, 22, 23-year-olds, guys that are more into their adult body, you know, than an 18-year-old is going to be.
He's only 18, so he cannot cross over to the majors
He
yet.
can.
Oh, he
could.
can. Okay.
Yes. And, you know,
Did he struggle at some point last season in the minors?
no, Ethan Salas struggled
Oh,
more.
okay. I get those two confused
He didn't.
sometimes.
Yeah, he didn't play in the minors until late in the year, but he did play in
Okay.
Arizona Fall League last year with Ethan Salas. They
I
both
see.
played together. Ethan Salas went up to Double-A to start the year. He's now on the injured list, unfortunately, and Leodalis DeVries here. I don't think he's going to be staying in high A ball for very long. And when you hit, you don't stay where you're at. So if he does this for another week or two, don't be surprised if I'm doing an update that he's in Double-A, everybody. We'll keep an eye on
What
it.
happened?
And just to give a little bit more credence to this, as you can see in the next slide, Baseball America has Leodalis DeVries ranked as the number 5 overall prospect in all of Major League Baseball right now. And that includes the AAA guys that are ready to come up to the majors right now, like Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony are for the Boston Red Sox, everybody. So pretty cool to see an 18-year-old amongst the best of the best when it comes to the minor league prospects. Now, this can change. Things can change. You know, he can reach Double-A and just go cold, stop hitting. We hope that doesn't happen, but, you know, nothing's guaranteed in this life. Just ask Shedeur Sanders, everybody.
Oh, boy. That's a different topic for a podcast.
Well, you mentioned we had a video, and we do have a video of Leodalis DeVries because, this was posted this morning, actually, to the Major League Baseball account. They've gotten wind of this kid, he is nicknamed El Mutante, the mutant.
Ooh.
And this video, I think, starts to show a little bit of how he got that nickname, everybody. Nikka, can you roll the clip?
Into center, Centennial late break. DeVries goes out, he made the grab!
Okay.
The mutant, everybody.
Leo DeVries
Get ready for it. El Mutante.
calls game!
Nice little hit for that kid. Good stuff. Great week. Keep it up. I want to see you in AA by the end of May.
Oh, that's a tall order.
You hear me, AJ?
Okay, then.
I got my Padres orange headband on. I'm spitting fire over here. Nikka, can we go to the next slide? Because it's time to turn our attentions to the great baseball experiment, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Boo. We follow the Dodgers because they spend all this money, and it's, we got to document it.
Yeah, we do.
The media also has a love affair going with the Los Angeles Dodgers and, of course, Shohei Ohtani. And, I mean, I understand it, but at the same time, there's 29 other teams in baseball.
You got
One of those teams is the Miami Marlins. They were visiting the Los Angeles Dodgers this week, and it got ugly in this one. The Dodgers go for the clean sweep, 3-0. But look at this payroll gap here, Nikka.
Wow, that's like our country.
$400 million separates the Dodgers and the Marlins in payroll just this year. Just this year.
That's for this season, right?
That's for this season. And
that's all
that's
the
not
money.
for multiple seasons. That's this season only.
That's not. Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
So something needs to happen here where like either the bottom gets lifted up higher to the top where there's like maybe there's a minimum salary cap. Like
There is.
But maybe
Oh.
you have to spend a certain amount, like $100 million. Like I don't know.
That's very bad, actually. And if baseball is a reflection of our society, and this is what's being shown, that's awful.
It's bad, and it played out that way on the field. Like
did.
some of those
Well-
games got ugly. Some of them did not. The Marlins will compete.
They
They
did
have young
compete.
players that were once upon a time, high-rated prospects like Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. Everybody. So
They did compete.
they have some guys. They have Xavier Edwards, who's
Mm-hmm.
a really, really good young hitter. But they cannot compete with the Dodgers, especially when Big Sandy goes out there and gets rocked. And he has not looked good this year, everybody. Sandy Alcantara is looking a little bit not like his old self early on after coming back from Tommy John surgery. And, I mean, I think the Marlins are planning on shipping him somewhere else before this is all said and done by the end of the year. And you have to wonder, is he making himself look less valuable every time he takes the mound right now? So it's tough decisions going down in Miami and South Beach, and the Dodgers aren't making it any easier on anybody, let alone them.
Well,
So
hopefully he is not going to the Dodgers
yeah, I mean,
because the Dodgers are so entitled for every single pitcher that is available out there.
we're going to talk about that in a minute, but keeping on this payroll gap here, I just want to say one last thing about that, and that is that this is going to be one of the reasons why there's a lockout potentially after the 2026 season is because of these payroll gaps that are happening, and something needs to be done about it, particularly with the TV revenue money. The NFL has shared revenue. The MLB does not. Maybe that's something that they can look into changing to start to balance the scales a little bit. All right. Well, one Dodger fan was pretty disappointed that the team was apparently skipped over on Monday morning's, what is that show called? MLB Central?
MLB Central.
Yeah, with Lauren Jihadi, Mark DeRosa, and of course, Robert Flores. And it's the latter that I want to focus in on here because someone tweeted at them that there was no Dodger highlights. And they just decided to skip us. And that was Chet at Original SoCal Original. At SoCal Original. Chet.
Southern California, I guess.
Yeah. Well, our guy, Robert Flores on MLB Network, roasted him, and it's worth sharing with all of you. Well, you can read the tweet for yourself, right, Nikka? It says, yeah, that's a shame. The Dodgers rarely get any coverage. And, thank you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you for your sarcasm on this one, please. I just love that someone sees it. You know, someone in the establishment media recognizes the ridiculous coverage that the Dodgers get on a regular basis on their own network. Thank you, Robert Flores.
Thank you.
No, all kidding aside, the Dodgers get plenty of publicity on MLB Network. So I'm just glad that someone had the courage to chat back a little bit on this one, or should I say clap back?
Clap back.
Because that was a nice little burn there, and it was funny. One thing that was not funny, though, for the Dodgers was their injury news that came out on Monday after our show. Nikka, you want to keep ready? Uh-oh.
Yes, doctor.
Doctor, give me the news. I must confess, you have an astonishingly good idea there, Doctor.
Damn it, man, I'm a doctor, not a torpedo technician.
Dr. Harris.
Yes?
Do you concur?
Is there anything you can do, doctor?
Somebody give me a doctor.
All right, it is time for an injury report, and we've got number one, an update for Tyler Glasnow. We talked about it on Monday. He left his start. It didn't sound good. We played audio from Dave Roberts. He didn't have high expectations, and he was right. Tyler Glasnow is on the injured list with right shoulder inflammation. This, of course, comes after he left the other start previously before that with leg cramps. So hopefully,
so this is a second one. Okay.
So yeah, he left another start early. This time it was for some actual arm stuff, and you know, he's frustrated. The Dodgers are frustrated. Everybody's frustrated, but you know, they got enough money, I guess, to cover all these holes in their starting rotation that we talked about.
But not address the issue.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, we keep hearing how great of an organization the Dodgers are, and yet they can't seem to keep their pitchers healthy. So I'm just wondering, like, how great they really are, or if that's just a lot of embellishment happening. Nikka, if you look at the next slide, you can see just how privileged the Dodgers truly are in life. This was from @Klein25. The Dodgers are paying Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani a combined $89 million in adjusted payroll salary to pitch this year. It doesn't say this year, but I did the math, and it is just for this year only. And this year, they've only gotten 27 innings so far out of those three names. Now, of course, Shohei Ohtani hasn't even touched a mound yet in a game. Blake Snell, he lasted, 3-4 starts before he called it quits and said, I'm not ready yet. That sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand, like, how this gets glossed over so much. Last year, when Blake Snell reported to Giants camp and had all those problems in the first half of the season, he kept saying, like, oh, I didn't sign early. I didn't get started early enough. And this year, he didn't have that excuse. And yet, it seemed like a lot of the same stuff was happening. A lot of laboring on the mound, a lot of walks, a lot of nibbling, which causes him to get testy with the umpire instead of just cooling off and pitching with command. Don't get me started. All right. Well, the Dodgers are going to be strapped without Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow. Dustin May's been decent since coming back, I guess. They still have, of course, Yamamoto, who has a league best 1.09 ERA. So that's never an easy chore for hitters. But aside from that, Roki Sasaki has not been the commanding dragon that I thought he was going to be. And Shohei Ohtani, of course, is not ready to pitch yet. So things are getting bleak over there. We already saw the Dodgers do a bullpen game this week and last week. So they just keep getting away with doing these bullpen games. And the Dodgers are playing for October. We've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. That's all they're playing for. They don't care about this right now. They don't care about these injuries. The next man up. All they care about is who's healthy in October and do I have enough arms to get through the playoffs? Do I have 4 willing arms?
That's a horrible approach to the game.
It's so horrible because they're going to have a situation, maybe not this year, maybe next year, where they get 7 arms. And they're going to be like, oh, well, only 4 starters in the playoffs.
And all the deferred money's coming in by then.
And you think Roki Sasaki or Yamamoto or Ohtani are never going to be 3 of those 4 starters in the playoffs? You're lying to yourself. So there's really only like 1 pitching spot available. Out of
That's it?
Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Dustin May, the list goes on and on and on.
All right.
Gonsolin, I forgot about him. He came back this week, by the way. Welcome back.
Yeah, he did.
Stay healthy, I guess.
Well, I got a next slide for you.
Yeah, speaking of injuries, Mike Trout, everybody, is back on the IL, and it's just another IL stint in a long line of IL stints for Mike Trout since, I guess, the mid to late 20-teens, when things started to go downhill after once being, I guess, the perennial best player in baseball. I don't think anyone argued with it when he was coming up. As it's gotten into the late 20s and early 30s now, things have taken a dive. And this is just another dive now. It doesn't appear to be serious, but he does have a bone bruise on his left knee, and it's going to send him to the IL. So we'll wait and see how long this stint lasts. I'm trying to remember. Last year he had the meniscus on the knee. The year before he had the hamate bone in the hand.
Was that last year or 2 years?
Year before, I said.
Oh, it was.
So, yeah, I think it was 2 years because last year was the knee meniscus for sure.
Okay. Well,
I was really surprised he missed so much time last year. I had meniscus surgery when I was younger, and I was walking like the next day. I mean, I know I'm not in my 30s, but and maybe I know he had a setback with it. So
yeah.
I was just surprised. That's all. I'm not judging or casting judgment.
He could have been walking. That's not a problem. It's
Yeah.
just the recovery, just to get into the grooves of things after a surgery. It might take a time.
Correct. So, and coming back from the injury list always is tough.
Yeah.
All right. Another injury that we happened to see last night was that the Yankees have placed Jazz Chisholm Jr. on the 10-day IL with a right oblique strain.
Is he swinging the torpedo bats too hard?
Too hard. Too much torpedo in that bat.
Or not enough weight in the bat, so he twerks it more?
You know, Jazz Chisholm has a little bit of the Ken Griffey Jr. swing in him when it's going right. And, yeah, so I don't know. This is a break actually for the Padres because we're playing at Yankee Stadium after the Pirates series this weekend, and so we will miss Jazz. No Jazz in the Bronx for the Padres next week.
That's okay.
I'm not going to cry about it, honestly, but yeah, it's I think Padres Yankees is a potential World Series matchup, so it's interesting to watch them play each other. Yeah, I do. I don't know. I don't know who's going to beat the Yankees or outslug them, but I'm sure the Tigers will have something to say about that. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our regular coverage for this episode of the Nikka Sports Show. But before we leave on this fun Friday, we got to get some extra innings, Nikka.
Ooh, we do.
Are you ready to cue up the rabbit, the wabbit?
Extra, read all about it.
All right. Thank you, Bugs Bunny. And we do have extra innings this Friday, and we got a lot to get through, actually, in this segment. But this is actually something I'm looking forward to. I think this is what makes our show, is to be able to find these little nuggets of fun on social media and also now be able to share them visually with people as well.
Okay.
I think it adds a whole new level for me. I'm excited about it. I want to kick this off and go back to Monday night because on Monday nights on Netflix, we have WWE Raw, which is, of course, the old WWF wrestling from the 80s. It's now WWE because of the World Wildlife, environmental, whatever. Anyways, World Wildlife Federation. That was why WWF went away, hence WWE. And one of the baseball's best ESPN reporters, Jeff Passan, was actually in attendance and got a shout out from our guy, the PMS himself, Paul McAfee.
Pat McAfee.
Oh, my God.
That's okay.
I didn't have it in front of me, everybody.
It's okay. P this, P that.
I'm sorry, Pat. I watch you all the time, too. I should have done better.
Because you always call him PMS.
I know.
Well, whatever.
It's funny.
It's fun.
Let's hear from Pat McAfee.
ESPN insider and New York Times bestselling author Jet Passan is in the building to MLB ESPN
I've let it play a couple times because he's doing this old
Jet Passan is in the building
thing, which
What
I want
is
to explain.
that?
That's the old tribal chief, and that's Roman Reigns, His character's nickname is the OTC, like the old school tribal chief or something. And I think he still has the red necklace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won that. We follow, but not too closely. We're trying to do better, everybody. There's a lot going on with OBS and the NFL draft and NBA playoffs. There's just only so many hours in a day, let alone baseball, Nikka.
I know.
All right. Well, Jeff Passan, thanks for spreading the word of Major League Baseball to the wrestling crowd. You know, like we should not ignore them.
That's
NFL
true.
gets so much crossover. Why not baseball too? There's some characters in baseball.
There's always characters in baseball. Baseball has nice mascots. Those are characters. There's 2 mascots that are boxing that we saw somewhere.
Yeah, I saw the Mysterio kid too. I forget his name because I grew up with Rey Mysterio. Everybody, but Dominic, his son Dominic, was at WrestleMania a couple weeks ago wearing Padres gear at the post celebration chat roundtable thing, and I was like, oh. We got a Padres fan. It makes sense because Padres have a lot of Latin-themed fandom and things of that nature. They have a lot of Latin-themed players and Caribbean players and Spanish-speaking players.
That's right.
So he fits right in with that crowd. And so I was glad to see the brown and gold get some representation on WrestleMania, Nikka.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff Passan, for spreading the word. Nikka, can you flip to the next slide? Because, oh, my gosh, we finally got the unveiling of the Chicago White Sox City Connect uniforms. Oh, my dear goodness gracious.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Chicago Bulls or Chicago White Sox?
This is a true Bulls-White Sox mashup. That's the best way I can describe it. And we get a little bit of the shoe with the wing on it, similar to the Air Jordan like OG logo.
Okay.
Now, if you're not familiar, the White Sox have a sock inside of a diamond on the sleeve of their regular jerseys, so that's where the sock comes from. And then adding the Air Jordan wings to it was kind of a nice move. I don't think this should have had a Nike logo on the upper left where we see it. I think it should have been an Air Jordan logo. Don't you? I mean, like, everything else screams Michael Jordan to me with this.
That's a good point. And they are both Nikes and Air Jordan from the same. It's the same company. So
yeah,
why not put it in there?
Who knows? But yeah,
Maybe
this is an extreme baseball uniform. I think the red hat is too much. I think I would have done a little bit differently, like a black hat with a red brim. That's just me. And I don't mind the sleeveless look, I guess. I think I just would have made the whole uniform sleeveless. Like, I like sleeveless baseball jerseys, actually, where they can wear the long just sleeve underneath it and just have it, the jersey itself be sleeveless. I think it would have looked better in this, especially if you're going for a basketball uniform look. But the one thing no one's talking about with this uniform is the Michael Jordan connection that I like. You know, Michael Jordan, of course, played minor league baseball for the White Sox. He played for the Bulls, obviously, his whole career. So this mashup makes sense alone for that reason. And the Bulls owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, also happens to own the White Sox. So there's that connection. I don't know if people are aware of all these connections and maybe why this was chosen as the City Connect. But I like it. At the end of the day, I think it's going to sell a ton. I think people are going to buy a 23 Jordan one just to have it, you know, the customization of it. So there's a lot that can happen with this City Connect for the White Sox, and that could make them some money. So smart choice.
If anything, the White Sox going to accomplish this season is the sale of new jerseys in Chicago.
Yes. I just don't know if it's going to be for any of their current players or if it's going to be for like old nostalgia, Michael Jordan, maybe Frank Thomas. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? I think they look cool. I just wish they had better players on the field rocking them, you know, and playing like the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. The one funny thing I did find, and I didn't get a picture of it, was there's a collar on the inside of this jersey that like has all the years of championships shared between the Bulls and the White Sox. And the Bulls championships are all in the middle. And then it's like 1907, 1917, and 2005. for the White Sox. So those they bookended the whole thing, and you got the Bulls dynasty in the middle. Yeah, let's hope that Bulls dynasty rubs off on the south side of Chicago sometime while I'm alive. I mean, quite frankly, they are awful, and they need change on the south side.
Don't speak ill. I'm kidding. Get your shit together,
I grew
White
up
Sox.
going to White Sox games. I want to see them play well. I enjoyed the 2005 team. The 2005 White Sox remind me a lot of the 2025 Padres, everybody.
It's sad, really.
So it is sad, and unfortunately, they need new ownership at the end of the day. So, all right.
Top.
Speaking of the top, it's time to turn our attention to Topps, the card company.
Okay.
I got a couple little nuggets from them this week. First of all, last year, Willie Mays passed away, sadly, and some players wore the number 24 patch on their uniforms, and those patches are now being cut up and put into Topps baseball cards, and they are going to be one of ones, everybody. So if you find a Willie Mays patch card, it will be a one of a kind for that player. And we can see here, it looks like Francisco Lindor is being featured on the card, and that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a one of one Francisco Lindor.
Definitely.
All right. And speaking of Topps, there's also these bat knobs, everybody. Nikka, do we have these on screen yet?
Yeah, they
All
are.
right. So they are basically putting these picture knobs on the bottom of the bats. I don't know exactly what it is. It reminds me of maybe a gel sticker kind of thing with a picture underneath it. But anyways, so this is actually a design that features them on one of their cards.
That's interesting. It looks like a bottle caps.
Yeah, it does actually. But either way, these are going to be going into one of one autograph cards at some point. So these knobs are going to be cut off and yeah, the promotions keep getting more and more outrageous. What will they think of next, Nikka?
I don't know, but people are going to be chasing those things because it's different.
Between the bat knobs and between the WrestleMania patches we got a couple weeks ago, all the wrestling costumes had a patch inside of them that was going to be a one-of-one card. So I think I heard something that there's more one-of-one Paul Skenes cards than there are actually regular versions of his cards. Now, that's not to say that there's more printed, but just that there's more one-of-ones than actually non-one-of-ones. It's kind of funny. So one-of-ones aren't exactly rare, but they are rare.
Okay.
All right. And it's time to go to some video here. This caught my attention because while baseball struggles to get attendance sometimes, they did have a pretty good month of April, according to them. However, they don't do this. They don't sell 81 tickets to a game. This was, I think, over the weekend, actually. We didn't have it in Monday's show. Apologies. But it was still worth putting a little clip in because look at this crowd. This is 81,000 people in Clemson's football stadium. Clemson University, of course, in the state of North Carolina. And this is the largest audience ever to witness the Savannah Bananas. They are, of course, a traveling baseball show similar to the Harlem Globetrotters, I would say. And they do all kinds of crazy antics on the field in the middle of the games. I'm trying to think of a good one, but they'll do dance routines together as an infield, before a pitch is thrown, and they'll huddle up on the mound and do it together like a pom-pom squad, everybody. So it's
fun.
It is fun. And here we're going to see some video of just how much fun it is to actually go to as an audience participant.
Good start.
Look at all those people. Look at the weird shape of the field, too. Isn't that hilarious how it has a super long right field and then a super short left field? It's so funny to me.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah.
This is a minor league stadium?
It's not. It's a football stadium.
It's a football.
Converted into a baseball exhibition for this one-off here.
Interesting.
This is the second football stadium they've sold out this year, according to this tweet. Joe Pompliano? Yeah. Joe Pompliano. Thank you, Joe, for sharing this. It looks like it was posted on the @BananaBall official X account. So Be sure to pay them a visit and follow them so you don't miss when the Savannah Bananas show up in your town or city, everybody, because I know when they come through my area, I want to go see them. I want to check it out.
If you got kids, it's a great activity to go to.
Yeah, I feel like the kids that are growing up with the Savannah Bananas are going to want to turn Major League Baseball into this someday, much to the chagrin of a bunch of old white people. Well, let's face it, that's who runs most of Major League Baseball.
That's true.
No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, we got one final nugget to get to this week before we hit the weekend, Nikka, and it is a birthday celebration.
Oh. Birthday celebration?
Yes.
Whose birthday is this?
I don't know, but I want to hear some music. Happy birthday to you, Sarah Langs, the best statistician in all of Major League Baseball. Oh, boy. Slangs on Sports at Slangs on Sports is her X handle, everybody. And a huge shout out to Sarah Langs because Nikka and I rely on her a lot for our milestones segment and to find all sorts of odd statistics that happen on a daily basis in the game of baseball. She helps our show so much because milestones are one of my favorite segments, Nikka.
Oh, you don't say.
Well, I like to celebrate the great achievements in the game of baseball.
They are great achievements.
She also suffers from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and so she's kind of connected to the game of baseball that way as well. Be sure and follow her and all that she does for the game of baseball. Give her a shout out. Give her a birthday shout out, everybody. Yeah. Say happy birthday. I'm sure she will appreciate it. I'm going to do that as soon as we get off the air, Nikka. Happy birthday, Sarah.
Happy birthday.
All right. And with that, it is time to get out of here for the weekend, Nikka. We have lots of baseball to watch. We have exciting NBA playoffs going on without LeBron anymore. See ya, LeBron.
Lakers are out.
We have exciting stuff going on with the NFL. We have a big Shedeur Sanders show that we are going to do and record at some point when all the software is working. But it's good, and I'm really proud of the work and time we put into it. So I'm excited to share that with you guys up and coming soon. And Monday, of course, we will be back right here doing a new baseball episode complete with a fresh hot and cold list, everybody. So stay tuned. That's all I got for you. Nikka, you got any words of wisdom before the weekend?
Have a wonderful weekend, people. Enjoy the weather if you have nice weather.
Yes, definitely get outside.
Get outside.
Get some sunshine and enjoy life, everybody.
And please subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
And like our show.
One day I'll remember all the important stuff that I'm supposed to do at the beginning of the show.
That's why I'm here to remind you.
As soon as OBS behaves and works on a regular basis, I think we'll be able to move on to phase 2 of this whole operation. But until then, I'm signing off and getting back to work on the back end of things. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you Monday.
Bye.